Assalamu alaikum, Sister Martha. Do you have the disclaimer you want me to read after opening up?
Mhm.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I am going to open us up with a Fatiha and then get the program started. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. Okay, so we'll read the disclaimer and then get into the programming for today. The content of the American Muslim 360 Broadcasting Network is intended for general information and community service purposes only. Views expressed by the host or guests are their own and not necessarily the official position of AM 360 or the parent corporation, Community Ride Shore Conference, Inc., CWSC, or its board of directors. Content is not designed to provide specific or personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, or other professional advice. No liability, explicit or implied, shall extend to hosts, AM360, or CWSC. We encourage you to consult an advisor for your specific circumstance. Again, I want to greet everyone with Assalamu alaikum and
Alaikum assalam.
acknowledging our start of the month of Ramadan will be tomorrow. And Sister Martha verified for me that during the month of Ramadan, we will not have this programming. One, because they will be doing the daily reading, and that happens during this time of the programming. So we will make way for that, and we will pick this back up after the Eid, and I look forward to being able to close this section of the discussion out, and then picking up where we left off, inshallah. So again, I want to greet everyone with Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the 9-point plan, a guide for our future. I am going to begin. I'm going to pick up where we ended last week, and that was actually talking about the 3 actions that are necessary for economic empowerment. We are still discussing economic empowerment, so we're going to close out this part of the discussion with economic empowerment. Then we'll pick up another 9-point plan and go through this a similar process for that. But this one was definitely this topic was something that everyone it was just something that kept rearing its head. So we wanted to and specifically we was asked to give some specific examples of how the 9-point plan can be applied to what the structure that we're laying out here in the blueprint that is called the 9-point plan. Okay, so Sister Martha, I see you here. You have an announcement here. Yes, exactly. There was no moon sighting last night, so they will have that process again tonight to try to sight the moon. But we know that the fast will start on Thursday, and Ramadan, the first night of Ramadan is tonight. And then the first day of fast is on Thursday. So I want to just extend Ramadan Mubarak to everyone, and I pray to Allah we all have a wonderful and blessed and peaceful Ramadan, inshallah. So getting right into the 3 actions for economic empowerment. Where we left off last week, we talked about naming the economic outcome. And we specifically had a set of questions that we can ask, right? There's others, but these are some questions that we all can ask ourselves or our group or the community around, if for identifying a specific economic outcome. And one of those questions are, what does financial sustainability actually means for us, for our group, for our community? Is it, and then up under that, it could be, is it paying the imam consistently, right? Where he has a salary or he has a stipend, however, whatever the community decides how they want to compensate the imam, right? That should be part of your discussion of what it means to be financially stable, or for financial, having some sustainability when it comes to an economic position. Is it retaining the building without crisis fundraising, right? And what crisis fundraising mean is that when we're in reactive mode, right? A roof leaks and we have to fundraise to make the necessary repairs to the roof, right? Instead of being part of our financial plan, having an emergency fund that we can tap into, or a savings account that we can tap into when those unexpected and unnecessary circumstances happen, which they are. Life happens. And it does not exclude our masjids, our organizations, our communities from those things happening. Life happens. So instead of being always in crisis fundraising mode, right, being reactive to what happens to the community, being proactive in setting up processes and setting up um, uh, uh, they could be processes, but setting up established accounts for specific emergencies. And then the last question could be, is funding a specific program? So fund that at a level where you do not have burnout, where you have people just to say, throw their hands up and say, I'm done with this, right? So there's a level of programming funding that is in place. You're not raising money year by year, but you're looking for multi-year funding. You're looking for consistent funding for your programs, particularly if you want to sustain them for the long-term impact and outcomes that you have identified, right? So you must have the necessary funding to support those programs, so that your program do not function well or not efficient because it runs out of money. So an outcome is not, right, and I hear this a lot when I'm talking with people around developing an outcome, particularly when it deals with financial situations and they want to improve their financial positioning. The number one, kind of when I ask, what is your outcome for your economics? The number one thing I hear is that we want more money. Right? That is not an outcome. Your outcome is not we want more money. The outcome can be, right, something to the effect of we want stable, predictable income that supports our leadership, programs, and long-term planning, right? That forces you to think about, how will our finances become more stable? How will our income become more predictable, right? How can the funding that we bring in support our leadership programs, long-term planning, right? You can't get to that if you say we just want more money. What does that mean? Right? So being intentional about how you articulate the outcome that you want. And the outcome that I stated, this aligns directly with the 9-point plan in its call for economic self-reliance. It's rooted in a specific purpose and is not reactionary, right? So that is where we want to move from. The 9-point plan forces us to think strategically, really, and then the logic model that we built into the 9-point plan, right, forces us to think about these things in a more meaningful, purposeful way, and really help us to become more proactive versus being reactionary in the works that we do. Do anyone have any questions around this part of what has been mentioned? Okay, I don't see any hands so far. Okay, number 2, identify one system, right? I think we had this conversation before around not trying to overwhelm ourselves by trying to identify more than one system. Take one bite at the apple as you can. You can always go back to the other what is prioritized in your list. But let's start with one system so that we have some small wins, right? Those small wins turn into bigger wins. And it feels right like you're making progress versus just spinning your wheels because we just have so much going on. We're trying to tackle so much, and it just feels like a losing cause. So we want to change that experience, and we want to focus on one system and not everything at one time. Most economic challenges fall into three systems. It falls into revenue, and revenue basically is how your money comes in to your organization or how it comes into your masjid, right? So you want to look at this system, right? If this is the system that is not efficient or maybe not working at its best, right? This is the system maybe you want to identify and target. The other economic challenge the other system that economic challenges fall into is governance, right? And governance is how financial decisions are made, how these financial systems are made or decisions are made. And then, of course, planning is the other system that makes up our economic ecosystem or economic system. And planning basically is how are we going to prepare for our finances in the future, the long term, right? However you decide to define your financial future, that is planning. So most of our economic challenges fall in these three categories. Our revenue streams, it may not be diverse. We may only rely on one type of revenue stream, which potentially could cause challenges if that is choked up in any way, right? Governance, how we make decisions around money. How do we become more accountable for the resources that we do receive? All of this falls under governance. And then planning. How do we plan for the future when it comes to our financial stability? So when we have moved towards identifying that one system in this case, we're talking about our economics. When we have identified that one system that we want to target, these are the next questions we need to ask ourselves. Where does this system break down? Right? And then it's important that we say system, right? And that we're not attacking individuals. That we are not attacking the individual. We're attacking the system, the process, the procedure. So when we ask the question, where does the system break down? And in case of revenue, right? You can ask the question, can we diversify our revenue streams to ensure that we have different ways of bringing money into our organization or our community or our masjid? Just fill in the blank there when it comes to revenue streams. Around governance, where does that system break down? Is our policy up to date? Or are we still relying on policy from 1979, right? Or a process that the masjid always followed for 15 years, right? And we never looked at it to see if it's efficient, if it's running the way it needs to run, right? So these systems are made for us to really go back and reflect on them, look at them, modify where necessary, right? Because the more we learn, the more we become educated and knowledgeable about these processes and systems, we do need to go back and look at our governance structure and make whatever modification that we need to make. to make them work in the way that they need to work. And it comes with education. It comes with knowledge. It comes with understanding how these systems function and work in our communities. So that's the governance aspect. And then the planning aspect. Where is the planning system? Our planning process, where is that breaking down that does not allow for financial sustainability? Right? These are just examples, right, of three systems that can be targeted, that attack them one at a time. And you can prioritize, right, which one you want to address first, and then second and third. And they don't have to go in no particular order. It's whichever order the community wants to prioritize them and begin to address them. But we have to address them. The second question is, what feels unclear, fragile, and dependent, right? And when I say that, is that when we talk about our revenue that comes into our organization and into our masjid, does it feel foreign? Does it feel like I don't know what they're talking about? I have no idea what is being presented to me. It's not clear. Is it fragile or dependent? Meaning, is this system dependent on one person, a group of people, right? If that's the case, we may want to look at that system and see if we can build in redundancy to ensure that if something happens to this person or this group, that the whole system doesn't collapse. Right? That we have redundancy built in so that someone else can step in and be able to pick up right where the other person may have had health concerns, right? And that we do not have a full collapse of our system, right? That these are two really important questions to ask ourselves when we have identified that system that we want to target. Okay, I want to state this again, that naming a gap is not blame. It is a diagnosis. So we're not placing that. That's why we're using the term system, not treasurer, not secretary, not leadership, not the imam, not the president, right? We're blaming the system because it will help us to be able to apply the knowledge that we have amongst our group, not the knowledge that an individual has, but the group knowledge is applied to address the concern. To address the concern. We want to draft, once we have identified that system and acknowledge this is the system we need to address, that is challenging our community, then we need to draft an action plan, or not really an action plan, because we're really not drafting the action plan yet. We need to draft an action step. And when I say address an action step, we only need one. Let's start with one and be successful with that before we list a whole host of different action steps we need to take. So I'm not suggesting that other action steps are not important. Yes, they are. We can have discussions around them, but we need to prioritize them, and we need to address one action step at a time, not 10, because it's going to feel overwhelming if we try to address 10 action steps and your community is only 15 people. It's going to feel very overwhelming. So address one action step at a time. Prioritize them and address them one at a time. Take a bite at the apple at a time. And your action step is not your vision statement. Not your vision statement. It's just one step of a whole process. So to really keep us from kind of flopping all over the place when we're thinking about drafting this one action step, here are some questions to kind of keep us focused. What will we do? Basically, what will be done to address this one system that we want to tackle? Right? So specifically name what will be done, what it is we're doing, who is responsible, right? I have seen this happen over and over and over again. And a lot of the work that I do, we have good ideas, good action planning and action steps identified, but we never task that out to anyone. And then that action goes nowhere for months because we haven't tasked anyone with it. So once we have settled on what it is we're doing, then we task that out is who is responsible? Who is we assigning this task to? Or a group of individuals that we're assigning this task to that will be responsible for, not necessarily accountable to the work, but responsible for ensuring that the action step is being addressed, that we're moving towards implementing the action step. Basically, someone that is going to manage the process. And then being able to identify a timeline. When will it be completed? Right? Giving a time frame to it. So that we have a goal that we're working towards. Is it 6 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 9 months to get this done? And it is okay not to be able to fully attain your action step in whatever time frame that you have identified. It is okay, because none of this is written in stone. You can always make modifications, particularly to timelines. Timelines are only a planning mechanism to keep us motivated, keep us focused, keep us moving. So that timeline can shift. And if you're really efficient, right, and have enough people working on it, you may achieve your specific goal before the stated timeline. So, for example, a draft action statement, and we're sticking with the economic portion of this. The finance committee will research 2 diversified income models and present recommendations to the board within 90 days. We answered, what will we do? Research. The finance committee is doing research to identify 2 diversified income models. Who is responsible? The finance committee. When will it be completed? In 90 days. They will, the finance committee is researching 2 diversified income models, and they will present their recommendations to the board within 90 days. We have answered all 3 of those questions. This is how strategy becomes discipline, right? This statement is very focused. It is specific. It is measurable. It is articulate, right? You can articulate this. It is clear what it is the finance committee is doing. and what they're being tasked to provide to the community, a deliverable. It is time bound, 90 days. So this, by putting this into practice, this help us to become more disciplined with the strategies that we are deploying to be address very complex, sometimes very complex concerns in our community. And this kind of process, right? Reflecting on the 9-point plan, or the principles of the 9-point plan. There's multiple here in what we just shared. It has economic reliance, self-determined governance, and it has discipline and order. Do we have any questions here on what we just covered there before I move to the next?
Yeah. SubhanAllah, let me raise my hand. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
As for the sake of any organization, masjid, community center, or any organized body, moving past when you say about the gaps and identifying those gaps and not making it a personal thing, our human self will right away think, you feel the pinch anyway, even though you don't want it to be there, but you feel that pinch.
Yes,
and not having everything in just one person's lap. How how do we not, okay, and I'm thinking privacy versus sharing the load, all right?
Yes.
So the privacy content versus that which you want is a public arena, so that when individuals want to know, and again, back to CWSC, Thomas's, may Allah be pleased with him, grant him high station in paradise, his expression, his exposure of CWSC's intent to the community was to be, people driven, volunteer driven, and not to lose that focus. And in doing that, all of the ABCs of, where like you say, are you using policies from 1979? Okay, so those are ABCs not to remain there. So, but there's sometimes in other organizations I've seen where ones have been aggressive in coming to make changes without sitting at the table and learning the history and seeing the evolutionary state, and then connecting with the future so that you stay in mind, so that you don't be adversely bothering something and then you're gone.
Yeah.
Because it didn't pan out right then. So how do you keep that separation of what's private to be maintained private, but what can be shared publicly?
Yes. So to get at what you just asked, I mean, and I think we had this conversation before about document.
Okay.
Everything you do, right? Because there's continuity in that, right? Making space for all generations to be at the table so that historical context can be shared, right? Because you can find yourself mission driven, right? From the original intent of why the organization was established. Now, getting to your question around how do you protect sensitive information of the organization or the community, there are ways in which you can do that, and you can do it through a policy where you define what is sensitive information, right? And I think there is a national definition of what is sensitive information. People personal information is sensitive, so that should not be open for inspection and these kind of things. phone numbers, addresses, emails. You have to be able to say to the community, this is information that we want to share collectively in the community so we can reach each other. Is it okay? Right? You always have to get informed consent when you are sharing maybe sensitive information. And that person can tell you on a one individual level, or they can say it openly, that I do not want my phone number shared. I do not want my home address shared, but I will share my email. Right. And they have every right to restrict what information they want public and what information they want private. Right. They have every right to do that. And then there's only certain people in the masjid that should have that information, right, and have access to that information. Secretary, imam, administrative staff maybe should have information, be able to reach out and be able to communicate with community members, right? And I think most people are acceptable to a very small group of people having access to that information, right? I think that is one way that you do it. So you can codify it in policy. You can codify it, and really, a policy don't have to be a 15-page document. It could be a one-page document. This is how we're going to handle sensitive information in this organization or this masjid, right? And this is how we're going to go about doing it. And then anyone, right, as people rotate off in positions, right, they have to be able to sign off on that policy, saying they understand it, that they're not going to violate that policy, right? Because it only takes one person to really mess up, and you lose the trust of the community, right? So you really want to have some processes and procedures in place, even when you have rotating staff. Rotating people that's on the board, or however you govern your organization. So you want to have these kind of policy available for folks to be able to look at, to be able to understand, not read on their own, right? They can read it on their own, but there has to be someone that sit there and go through it with them and be able to say, do you understand, and maybe answer any questions that they may have, and then they sign off on it, right?
And so ratification time is a good time to do that on an annual basis, even if
Yes.
it's not ratification, it's for clarification or verification or whatever, acknowledging that, so that everyone, whether it's a message, you're going through it together,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then making sure that even newcomers are understanding there's a process.
That is
Okay.
correct. That is
Alhamdulillah.
correct. Because we just ran into this and I see you, brother Ishmael. I'm gonna get to you. We just ran into this at our masjid this weekend, where we have a process for ensuring that requests are put to the community for approval, right? And this individual wanted to bypass that and go directly to the imam, and made an assumption that what his ask was approved, right? And it happens because we don't have these, like you said, Sister Martha, annual check-ins and say this is the process. We make assumptions that people remember from year to year how we make decisions, and they just don't. Why? Because sometimes we have people that leave for 6 months. We may not see them for 6 months. They're back, and this process may have shifted and changed, right? And they're not up to date with the new process. So I agree with you. Annually, we need to be having discussions around how we make decisions, how the community go about making, going about the day-to-day operation of the organization and the masjid. So yes, brother Ishmael, I saw your hand up, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wow.
First of all, I want to thank you. We had our annual board strategy summit last weekend, and they really appreciated the directors and officers insurance and then the bonding. So thank you so much. They were my board was appreciative to that. And also I agree. Like I said, we had our annual meeting last weekend, and we just something as simple as our membership. We decided that we should have write down their family name and put their Muslim name in parentheses. You know, some people are sensitive to that, but we, for the simple fact, when they went into the hospital, we may be looking for Abdullah Hassan, and it's under Brad Thomas. So we say that's information that we need. And then what we'll do, I'm sorry, I don't know, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You muted yourself, brother Ismail.
Okay. I'm sorry. And what we plan on doing is have our community meeting this coming up weekend to reflect what we had. So I appreciate this information because it's needed, and then we have to get it to the community ASAP. So thank you.
Allah. Okay, so now we're on the fourth step here, and I want to just, and I think we had some conversations around this, right, about why this works, why this type of process works, and these 3 steps work because they reduce confusion, and I think we just had that conversation, right, about clarity. So it reduces confusion, it builds trust, it creates shared responsibility, right? Because we say this is not just on one individual, it's on the collective. We're not addressing one individual, we're addressing the collective. That's why we're saying system. And it strengthens our institutions, not personalities. I want to make that clear. That's why we're not addressing individuals. We're addressing the system because we want to strengthen our institutions. We want to strengthen our systems, not the people. Well, I shouldn't. Well, let me back off of that. Let me correct that. Personalities. Because as we strengthen the institutions, as we strengthen the systems, as we strengthen the process, that's automatically is going to strengthen the individuals that are participating in the process. It is. Their knowledge is going to increase, their confidence increase, right? Because a lot of this is built around confidence. Do I feel confident that what is being shared with me, I understand it, right? That's the number one reason why we get so much pushback when we want to change, when we want to address a particular challenge in our community, because someone feels that they're not confident, right? That they don't have the knowledge. And that's okay because we're all learning together. But it is the number one challenge when we're doing these system shifts, is dealing with the individual that feels like they are somehow not prepared. And that is okay. We're never 100% prepared for everything. We're not. We have to go back and brush up on our knowledge on something. We may have to do additional research. This was one thing that I heard President Obama say. He said that whenever we're in a room, we should be confident when we're in that room. Because he said the other people that are making up that space, they're not as knowledgeable as you think they are. So he is saying, wherever we show up at, we have to be confident. We have to be confident that what Allah has given us is enough. It's enough. Because Allah has given us a brain. He has given us ability to be able to study, to be able to research, to be able to understand, to cultivate a understanding and knowledge if we do not know enough. But be confident in what Allah has blessed all of us with. And together, we are a powerful group. But we have to learn to work with each other. We have to learn to trust their abilities and skill sets. Right. And that tends to kind of hold us back a lot. Yes, Sister Martha.
Okay, this takes us to, because while we're processing the plans, the plan of actions, and observing the gaps and responding to that, and while we're making future goal, striving to reach future goals and the strategies of such, the other thing that keeps creeping into the back of my mind is Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, rahimahullah, mercy of Almighty God be upon him, who presented this plan after he himself studied his own history connection, his own, how did he get to be who he was, who he is, and what brought him into that position, those situations that brought him into this position where he found himself. And he could not do it without trusting Almighty God and then studying and making the connections, not dismissing the connection of family heritage, as well as those conduits that were ill will. He had to study it all. And so here we are. And so what's at the center of my thinking now is, while we're in the masjid or in a neighborhood association or group, a community group, we still are part of that first unit, family. As Ishmael brought up about the names, we're still part of a family. And these processes that you're sharing with us, I'm thinking of family reunions can benefit from the same process and go through the painstaking process of helping ones adjust, realign themselves, because we do compare ourselves with others who has more than whatever, how long it took them to get it there. But you get what I'm saying. Yes, family reunions. I'll stop right there.
Yes, ma'am. I think Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, have demonstrated and showed us this. And in the life teachings of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, he has also demonstrated and showed us this, that we are family. We may not be blood related, but we are family. And sometimes you have to have a level of trust of the individuals that make up your family until they prove you otherwise, right? Until they prove you otherwise. That's why when these young people have a term, bone collector. I mean, out here, collecting all of the information about someone and bringing it to someone else to tell, right? And I tell them, until I experience that with that individual, I'm going to still, my thought and my understanding of that individual is still going to be the same until they show me otherwise. Now, when they show a characteristic that is not conducive to what I want to align with, then I have a decision to make, right? Do I want to align myself with that type of behavior? And the Quran tells us it's clear in the Quran. Allah tells us sometimes you have to break away from even those who are your family. If their behavior, their condition, their characteristic is such that it's going to bring you down with them. Right? And I think not only the Quran, the life example of Prophet Muhammad and the teachings of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed has demonstrated and showed us this. So Sister Martha, you are correct that this process helps us to be able to work with others until they show us that they can't work in a group setting. But we always welcome them, right? As long as they can adhere to the shared values of what everyone else is aligned to. I think that's what Islam teaches us, right? It teaches us that.
Yes.
So I think that this process is also walking us through that same step, that we can tolerate, right? And we are encouraged to include voices that are different. But as long as the underlining foundation is shared, I think we can get along. As long as, you know, we are all working towards the shared understanding, the shared vision. Now, there may be something else that we may not align on. You know, we may not agree on that, but we can agree on this, and we can move together on this. But a lot of times we let this area where we don't align impact this area that we all agree on, right? And that hurts the community when that happens. Yes, Sister Martha.
Yes, and as soon as you said that, what into my mind was interfaith.
Yes.
Interfaith, even intra-faith. Our iftar committee that is made up of Muslim Bilalian, Muslim African American, all right, foundation wise. But our outreach experience and leadership skills allowed us to confidently entertain others, bring others in, because we know what we're standing with, connected with with Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, rahimahullah, that his connection is definitely aligned with Prophet Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him. And knowing that, we also got to a point of where we had a difference of understanding, but it did not break the full structure.
Understand.
We compromised. And that's another thing, right? Being able to compromise and not tear down the whole togetherness or the structure that reason why we're connecting or aligning ourselves with another. So yes, that into my mind, inter and intra faith, as well as living in a neighborhood, and your neighbor may not be cutting their grass. You're still a neighbor. There's a way to get that. There's an approach. Well, anyway, I'll stop right there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's just dealing with personalities, right? We're dealing with people. We're dealing with people. And our way always may not, we may think it's right. We may think it's the right way, but to someone else, it's not, right? And I think there's an in between. Now, there are some things we can never budge on. And I think we all know what those things are. There are some things that we will not and should not tolerate. Right? And then as a community, there are collective things that the community say we can stomach this, and there's some things that we won't even tolerate, right? That's a community agreement that says that we're right. So we all have these structures. We have our personal things that we say I can live with. And there's some personal things that I just cannot deal with that, right? There are some communal things that we do these negotiations with, right? And then there is societal things, right? That we also have this tug and pull on us, right? And I think Ramadan helps us to reset. It resets us because one, we're reading the Quran every day, a 30th of the Quran every day to remind ourselves and condition ourselves on what Allah wants from us from being an excellent human being. And our prayer that we do every day, ask Allah to give us that guidance and that focus and that discipline to be able to carry what we're learning from the Quran in our lives every day moving out of the month of Ramadan. Right? But Allah knows that the world works on us. And it gets us off balance. And Ramadan is that tune up, right? Because we are vehicles for good. Allah uses us as vessels of good, vehicles of good. And our vehicle during the month of Ramadan needs retuning. It needs a maintenance job. And that's what Ramadan, does for us. It gets us tuned up to be able to get back out there in the world. And then the next 9 months, right, try our best to be on that path. But the world works on us. It's a tug and pull. So it's a blessing to be entering the month of Ramadan this week on Thursday, to get closer to Allah, to be, to participate in the rituals that make up the month of Ramadan, to work on ourselves for the next 30 days, so that we can come out on the other side in a more excellent pattern, right? Every year we have an opportunity to get it right. Every year that Allah bless us to see another Ramadan, He gives us an opportunity to get it to get ourselves together. so that we can make society better. And I think I think that is our charge. So Sister Martha, is 8:52. I know that you have some programming information that you want to share, particularly that's focused on the month of Ramadan.
Yes. And I apologize, everyone. I don't have that list in front of me, but the let me see if I can get to it while I'm speaking. I'm speaking of every Saturday during the month of Ramadan, starting this Saturday, will be featured guests that will be sharing on on the month of Ramadan and different titles, and I want to give it credence to it. So let's see here. And I'd like to acknowledge our staff of American Muslim 360. You're on the #1 Islamic National Broadcasting Network, the American Muslim 360. The CEO, Khalida Akbar of North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and the station manager, Imam Kareem Hamid of St. Louis, Missouri. Program manager, Manira Habil Umar of both Chicago, Illinois, and Melbourne, Florida. Then we have our SEO. I can't think of the other word, but anyway, Imam Abdul Khafi Shahid of our qualifying process of our presentations. And then we have advisor, Imam Fleming El-Amin, and assistant advisors, William Kareem and Edward Willis. I believe I got the staff. I wanted to present that and have it acknowledged here on American Muslim 360 on YouTube, and as we're here on Zoom as part of our record, as you were saying, documentation, Omar. And so with that, every Saturday, there will be these presenters. Let me share that on my screen as I did get to it. Praise be to Allah. So we ask you to please come, and that's between a certain time every day. And prayerfully, it's between the time of prayers, but nonetheless, here it is. Let me turn it this way. American Muslim 360 hosts Ramadan Sessions 2026. Brother Edward Willis will begin the Ramadan Sessions, and it will be Building Sustainable Family and Community Life. That's February 21st, 2026, from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern and 1 to 3:30 p.m. Central, and 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Pacific Coast time, and that goes likewise with the rest of the presenters. On the same day, also at the same same time slot, Imam Tariq Abdul Muhammad, and the topic is preserving the family's life source, the soul. Again, February 21st. That's this Saturday coming, everyone. Following that, the following Saturday, February 28th, Imam Shahid Abdullah. Topic, the four birds, business, education, culture, and government. Again, from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Imam Yusuf Ramadan on the same day, the four birds, business, education, culture, and government. From their perspective. And then we have the following week, March 7th, our CEO of American Muslim 360, Sister Khalida Akbar, on marriage, the foundation of healthy, thriving, righteous communities and civilizations. March 7th, from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Same day, we have Sister Mahassan Abdul Salam. Khalida, again, is of North Carolina. Mahassan Abdul Salam is of Bronx, New York. Her topic, facing the challenge of successful shura bainahum in Muslim married life, mutual consultation. Again, March 7th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. They shared that time. On the last week and Ramadan, I mean, this time goes so fast too, everyone, believe it or not. March 14th from 2 to 4:30, the shared presenters, Imam Abdul Aziz of Bronx, New York, Masjid al-Adam, Center for Human Excellence, Community Center for Human Excellence. He will be speaking on forgiveness, mercy, and freedom from hellfire, making our nafs Muslim. That's March 14th. Along with him will be Imam Omar Adib Shakir, Imam of Masjid Bilal Ibn Rabah in San Antonio, Texas. And again, forgiveness, mercy, and freedom from hell fire, making our nafs Muslim. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the coordinates of this, of the Ramadan session. As you know, Ramadan sessions, speaking in and pertinent to Ramadan, the fasting month for all of humanity, as we will humble ourselves to research it, study it, and connect with it. But this will be coming from American Muslim 360, the #1 Islamic National Broadcasting Network here. And we thank Allah. And I did inquire as to, are we being heard beyond our Zoom and our YouTube and AI? AI, is it AI or the accessor? I have Gemini for the research. And it said, yes, it's being heard internationally. So again, don't think small, think large. I'm saying again, but this is the first time saying this. Don't think small, think large, think globally, beyond where we live, and just know that our human connections is very important. So we thank you for this process here. At the same time, we're continuing with our 50/50 CWSC Community-Wide Shura Conference. 50/50. Let me stop that for a moment. 50/50 is 50 years, 50 states strong, aligning with many organizations throughout this country, United States of America, those who have aligned themselves with the leadership, logic, and language of Imam Warith Deen, language and logic of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, rahimahullah. However we connect, but there are many organizations thriving and striving to do the work of being for human excellence, striving for human excellence. So in doing that, CWSC's goal is to stay connected, stay communicating, stay collaborating, so that we can continue to promote avenues for conversations to be had, to be held, and actions to be continued in our neighboring cities, our neighborhoods. I also say neighboring cities. So whatever that work looks like, CWSC is here to assist with that. Become a volunteer of CWSC. Go to cwsc.us. That's cwsc.us. And we will be having a class, believe it or not, Omar, our website. We have sought out an individual that's going to assist us with those who don't mind continuing the maintenance of our website, not just one person. We've again facing that gap, realizing we strive to have one maintenance person, but we see that it's just too much for one person. So because of the structure of CWSC having 13 components, and each director of those components are wanting volunteers to assist them. So we're growing, and we thank Allah for that. From whence we've come, from the days of 2009 of America Muslim 360, broadcast and evolving to the main foundation that is the parent corporation of the 13 components, AM 360 being the flagship. And then there's the Model Community National Resource Directory, Volunteer Human Resource Network, Family Strategic Planning, the National Leadership Advisory Council, the ambassadors, the Leadership Development Council, internships, scholarships, the bookstore, our international affairs. There's so much, everyone. There's a lot of room for everyone to work. And because we have a database, that importance of privacy is at the forefront of what we do with your information. So we thank a lot for you. Thank a lot for you, Omar, for being here, and your family. We never want to forget the family, as it is a vital component of who we are and what we do. And so your lovely wife and your son, and I tell you, and then the extended family beyond that, that got you to where you are, right? Alhamdulillah. So that's it, everyone. Please join us for later today. Today is what? Wednesday, 5 p.m. Halal Industries, Do for Self. Imam Warith Bilal and team, his wife Sherry Bilal, Nate Mohammed, Brian Ali, and James Bashir. That's 5 to 7 p.m. Then 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., the CEO comes with narrative aspirations, and her co-hosts, coach sharing in her hosting is Mahassan Abdul Salam and Imam Shahid Abdullah. Please plan to join us right here again on the #1 Islamic Broadcasting Network, America Muslim 360. And one of our components, our connections, Graceline. I always want to bring that to you, everyone. Graceline, which Omar and I both are of, and Edward Willis, who will be our first presenter. Praise be to Allah. Just remember that word, Graceline, Graceline, Graceline. Go to Graceline Community
Inc.
That's the difference. Yes, Graceline Community Inc. Because the other is a Catholic church, I believe, charities. But anyway, Graceline Community Inc.org. Please go to the website, register, because what we have coming up after Ramadan, we don't want to wait till that last minute. We do have, I did have that in my reservoir of what you had sent, the 5. Do you have that, Omar?
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be a 5-week financial empowerment webinar.
Yes.
We will be reviewing chapters that are in the financial freedom workbook for 5 weeks. And I can make sure that we get that information out to you, Sister Martha. I believe we did share it, but I'll make sure.
You did. And I'm looking feverishly right now for it, because
I'll put it back on top of your email so you'll have it.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you. And then I will definitely download it again.
Yes.
It's probably on my other phone, and I lost my other phone, y'all. So please bear with me. Alhamdulillah. But we definitely want to remind you too of the 5-week program for Graceline, for all of our financial backup, a restoration. We've already been, doing very good with accounting and our own family matters. But again, I can't stress enough about life insurance and and estate planning and all of that. It's information galore that will be shared with us, everyone. If you study al-Islam, Imam Deen al-Uqda, he shared much about that, but Omar is very much in what he does as, and here it is, our strategic planning. I don't know how that got over there. Okay, let me get that just right. Strategic planning, 50-year, 50 state, coming event, 1448 in August 2026. We'll be sharing more information about that, everyone, but please stay tuned as it involves all of the organizations that we're aligned with. All right, I won't take time now to go through them, but just look forward to it. Then during this month of Ramadan, you'll be well informed, inshallah, God willing. And again, Ramadan Mubarak to everyone, as tomorrow, officially here in the United States, Ramadan begins tonight, begins tonight, and the fast begins tomorrow. If I'm saying that, that's quite confusing, right? But alhamdulillah. But Ramadan starts tonight, Ramadan 1, 1448, and then we literally fast during the daylight hours from dawn to sunset. That's it. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak.